Hi guys, today we're going to read a story called A Bus Called Heaven. The bus brought change to Stella's street. Traffic slowed where no traffic had slowed before. People stopped and talked together, just a little, but they talked. Stella changed too. She took her thumb from her mouth where it usually lived and said, "Mommy, that old bus is sad as a whale on a beach." Then she pushed open the door and climbed aboard. Stella, the color of moonlight, stood among the bottles, cans, and trash. She was so pale you could almost see through her. "It could be ours," she whispered. "Whose?" asked Nikki, Vicky, Alex, Yasmin, and Poe. "What did she say?" asked Mrs. DeMortis. "Ours," she said louder. "Well, whoever it is, it needs to come off the road," said Stella's mom. And Dad came home that afternoon. He found an old bus where the front yard used to be. "The wheels stick out onto the sidewalk," he said. "There are sure to be regulations." "Well, it's staying here," said Stella. "That's my regulation." Next morning, Stella looked out her front window. People were sitting on the wall where no one had sat before. Under the bus, Esther, Rahir, Chelsea, and Charles. "Mommy," said Stella, "I'm going out," and she joined them. That day, the bus settled in. Weeds nudged up around the tires. Snails made silver trails, and a pair of old sparrows nested in the old engine. While the children played, the grown-ups mopped and scrubbed and polished. That night, the bus got a bit of new paint. "Hello, boys," said Mom. "I've got an idea. Come back tomorrow and you can paint the whole bus and make it sparkle." Next morning, Stella drew a picture for the rats to copy. People came with donations. Poppy brought a goldfish. Luke gave a set of super comics. Stella carried her table soccer with a missing goalie. Mrs. Stravos brought a bus cake. And Lucy lent her dog Bear for anyone who needs to just sit and pat something. Life returned to the old bus. Stella's fingers fluttered and the soccer players spun. Babies crawled, people laughed, kids fought, granddads scratched dogs, meetings were planned, couples met, and the fingerlings showed their vacation pictures. One Saturday morning, just outside Stella's house, there was music and dancing, there was picnics and laughter when a tow truck arrived. "It's against regulations," the driver said. "This bus is causing an obstruction." "He means it sticks out," Stella's dad whispered. "The bus has to go," said the driver. As the front wheels left the ground, snails dropped from under the bus and a twittering came from the old engine. Go where? Gasped the crowd. To the junkyard, came the reply. The crowd pled for their bus, but the junkyard's boss came out to join the driver and shook his head. This one's for the crusher. A little pink glow crept across Stella's cheek. 3 rescued snails were deep in her pocket. Excuse me, she said, shall we play a table soccer game? You can have the only goalie, but if I win, we get to keep the bus. And why? Asked the junkyard boss. Tell me, why should I play for the bus? Because, replied Stella, there are sparrows nesting in the engine. The game begun. Handle spun, the ball smacked end to end. Then, goal! Stella scored. She followed that with 9 more and won. The boss put out his hand. Joe, he said. Stella, said Stella. They shook hands. Then Stella ran to the front of the bus. Come see, she said, chicks. Amid the frantic flapping of the parent sparrows, Joe, the junkyard boss, spoke quietly. Better get your bus somewhere safe, kid. Somewhere out of the way. Thank you, said Stella, and the crowd cheered. I know where we can take it, said Stella. While the others pushed, she and Mom sat up front and steered, almost back where they'd started from. And when the bus came to rest at last, everyone else needed a rest too. Well, almost everyone. That evening in the vacant lot just behind Stella's house, music drifted high over the city, and the grass was danced flat around the bus called Heaven. As a full moon rose, 3 snails slid safely back under the tires, and tomorrow Stella will see the sparrow chicks fly for the first time.